Hi everybody, I'm Ben Rice and you're listening to Barley and Me presents Leonard Malting, a beer movie podcast where we talk about films about and strongly featuring beer. With me as always, but also for only the second time, are my co-hosts Paulina Olivares of the Pink Boot Society Sacramento.
Hi!
And Corky McDonnell, one half of the Sacramento-based bad movie podcast, Dare Daniel.
All night, okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Mine.
I don't have one. Do they do lines in this movie?
I think it's strongly implied, right?
Yeah, I think so too, as far as that goes. So in case you haven't figured it out from Corky's sweet impression, the movie we're doing today, the renowned beer film, everyone always thinks of this when you're like, what's a good beer movie? It's Dazed and Confused. The 1993 Richard Linklater film starring 900,000 people. But before we start talking about that movie that everyone knows and adores, let's talk about the beers we're drinking today.
I'm drinking a Black is Beautiful, an Imperial Stout. This is a delicious, delicious brown beer from Oak Park Brewing Company.
Nice.
I am also drinking Black is Beautiful, but from Urban Roots. It is 10.2% alcohol Imperial Stout, and it is delicious.
And I will go against the grain and drink a Black is Beautiful Imperial Brown Ale from Bike Dog Brewing, coming in at only 8.4%. So the Black is Beautiful is a international, worldwide beer brewing bonanza to help support racial justice.
Hey!
So over 1,000 breweries across the world have made this beer or plan to make this beer. And when they sell it, they'll make donations to a local charity that supports racial justice. Pretty cool thing. And there's I think 13 or 14 Sacramento breweries doing it, so I'm going to be drinking a lot of this beer.
Yeah. And it's really fantastic stout. This is delicious. This is going down too easy, actually.
Yeah, and I believe they made that straight from the original recipe. No frills, no gimmicks.
I make beer brownies every year, and I feel like this would make a delicious boozy brownie.
Yeah, and I'm drinking the brown, and I'm feeling the same way about it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And it is black and beautiful.
Yeah, same. And then, of course, we have another beer planned for the future that Paulina is very closely tied to.
Yeah, I am on one of the cans for Silver Moon Brewing's F Cancer. So another beer that is raising money for a great cause. They put their money towards organizations that support cancer survivors and also towards cancer research. So I'm a thyroid cancer survivor. Still going. Thyroid cancer is really slow. So 2 years after surgery, and I'm still not in the clear. Super fun. They call it the good cancer, so it's fun.
Yeah.
But this year, they had over 900 name submissions, and if you buy a 6-pack, my name is on 2 of them. Unfortunately, it is not available for distribution in Northern California. It was on tour. They sold out, which is crazy. So if you have friends in LA, they're distributing down there. You can check Silver Moon's website. They're in Oregon. So if you have friends up there, they might ship you some. Last year, a friend that I made on Instagram sent me some cans, so that was cool. But I'm really excited about it. I got 1 can from the brewery. I got to do a little Facebook Live with them and Fighting Pretty, one of the organizations they're donating to. And it was really fun just to meet the owners. Really good guys.
That's awesome. And I'm hoping to secure some for a future episode so we can all drink that together, have a good time. So West Coast IPA at Silver Moon Brewing. And it goes to support research towards cancer destruction. Kill it. Kill it with fire. Have they tried that?
They've tried a few fires.
Yeah.
I've done a little radiation. I wasn't allowed within 6 feet of people. I had to flush the toilet twice.
Whoa!
Yeah. I had to hide.
That's a fantastic beer and cause. And Paulina, we're with you. Congratulations on fighting, and we're going to fight with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that F can stand for whatever you need it to stand for.
That is kind of their whole idea. So this year, they put different F words, not the F word, but fundraising, friend. Yeah, not the F word, but it does mean the F word. So their campaign is, what does the F mean to you? So they're kind of encouraging people, if you get a can, to just, talk about what the F means to you. So it could be the F.
Yeah.
It could be other Fs.
could be fight. Could be fund. Research.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Corky, what does F mean to you?
Oh, wow. Flagellate. Flagellate cancer. I want cat of nine tails.
Yep.
Line cancer up. Just whip the shit out of it. Just whip that cancer.
I don't know if they've tried that yet, but it could be effective.
Yeah. We are all.
You got to get some thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You need non-doctors to tell doctors what to do. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
This is 2020 America.
I saw it in the video.
I'm sorry. What we were here to discuss is the 1993 indie comedy classic Dazed and Confused. Corky.
Yeah.
If you were going to pick the top 3 people in this movie, who would they be?
Okay, you got Slater. You got Matthew McConaughey. And you got my personal favorite is like Matthew McConaughey, I like the redheads. So I forget her name, Angela or
Cynthia.
Jeannie. Cynthia. It's Marissa Ribisi.
Yeah.
So I like her a lot, but that's just because I grew up thinking she was cute.
How dare you?
Do you also think Giovanni Ribisi's cute?
No, I do not. I do not.
He's a real squirrely little fella.
But I just found out today that Marissa Ribisi married Beck.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this movie. Well, just before I get into that, Paulina, if you were going to give a top 3 billing to this movie, who would you have in your top 3?
Are we talking like characters or like actors?
Whatever way you want to do it.
Okay, we're gonna go. I mean, I like 2 of his answers. We go Slater, we go McConaughey, and Parker Posey was just like perfect in that role.
Wow, yeah.
Yes.
Just calling everyone bitches and stuff. She was born for this.
Prick Jesus.
This movie established who Parker Posey is in every movie she will ever do again. Like, just constantly like, what if we put that character in this setting? What would happen? And it's just Parker Posey's career. And it's not a trash, because like all those characters are very different, but they're also very much, what if this character was raised this way instead?
Yeah.
Love it. Every second she's on screen is incredible. Like, that's like tour de force. Like, I'm a force to be reckoned with. I'm Parker fucking Posey. Love it. So my top 3, I went with who I would think the main characters of this ensemble cast is. And they're all people who shouldn't act. So I went with Jason London, who is the main character, Randall Pink Floyd, Wiley Wiggins, who plays Mitch Kramer, and Michelle Burke, his sister Jodie Kramer. If you put those on there, no one cares about this movie. No one cares. This movie, it's everybody that's in this movie either became a huge star or never did film again.
Right.
There's no in between.
There's nothing. You said Slater earlier, Corky.
Yeah.
Rory Cochrane,
yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What was I going to come back to later that I forgot about? Do you guys remember? This is classic me move.
No.
I'm looking at it. Let's see. We're looking at Marissa Ribisi, Redheads. That's about where I came up. But no, I have nothing. So this movie is insane. Just in the sheer volume of talent that came through it. Matthew McConaughey was a walk-on because somebody else couldn't do it. Like, and he's like, oh, he's the thing everybody remembers about this film.
And we haven't been able to get rid of him since.
Yeah. And also, just playing that character put in another position the rest of his career. Like,
yeah.
Career-defining.
He plays
role.
Matthew McConaughey. He plays Matthew McConaughey in every role. It's just in different settings.
Yeah. He's despicable. He's a despicable human being. Can we agree? He's a despicable, unlikable person, but he's magnetic.
Well...
No, he's got a magnetic personality. You want to like be around this guy who shouldn't be around you.
Yeah, he expresses some very, very despicable opinions. But he will. He's the focal point whenever he's on scene to me.
Yeah.
But that's that's his charismatic nature. Even later on when he hits on my girl, the orange-haired one, he like says, "You should ditch the 2 geeks in the car," and yet she's like, still like, "You just insulted my friends," But hey, you're cute. You got some charisma. You got a nice car.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: of the characters that this could be any in your top three, not in your top three, like an actor that you're like, oh, I forgot this guy was in here, and I loved him in this other thing. Is there an actor or actress that did that to you guys?
No, because I kind of remember everyone that was in it. I mean, yeah, it's not a forgettable movie.
Right. Like, okay. Let me rephrase. So we've established that Parker Posey and Matthew McConaughey are themselves on screen. Is there somebody who's maybe made a change? They're like, they were this character in Dazed and Confused, and now they play these other things that are against that type?
Ben Affleck's the same character, but in a Batman.
Yeah. We didn't even mention, nobody put Ben Affleck in their top three.
Nobody likes Ben Affleck.
Yeah, very true. Very true. No one does. That's true. So for me, I went with Adam Goldberg, who plays Mike, one of the nerds. He rides with Cynthia. Because that guy ended up playing the Hebrew Hammer. He ended up playing a badass assassin in Fargo season 1. But in this, he's like just this nerd that nobody likes. Is trying to figure out his place in the world. He wants to dance. Which...
He's one of the most relatable characters for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, yeah.
He just hates everyone, except for his friends. Like, okay, get it. Same.
Yeah, I think that's an easy segue. This is based on a day in the life of people going from juniors to seniors and 8th graders to freshmen in like 1976 Texas small town. Mm-hmm. Granted, I assume, didn't go to school in the 70s. Corky, questionable.
I'm closest.
Did you? I don't know if you guys grew up in small towns, big cities, whatever. Did this movie kind of reflect a day in the life of you as a high schooler?
Well, so, okay, I'm the oldest. I'm 44. This movie is set 25 days after I was born. So the day that this came out, my circle of friends, about 15 of us cut school and went and watched it at the theaters. And we were just like blown away. Like we smoked weed and stuff and drank beer, but we were blown away at the hazing stuff. So like that, I grew up in Rancho. You didn't get hazed like as a collective agreed upon thing. You got jumped every once in a while, but you didn't get hazed as the this is something that all the senior boys do to the younger boys, and all the senior girls do to the younger girls. So that seems so foreign and so far away. But the riding around, listening to music, being bored. Remember being bored? That's the biggest thing about being an adult. Like, you're always stressing about the next thing. You're not just bored. Like, I got nothing to do. Even locked up in COVID, you're not like, oh, fuck, I got nothing. There's always something. But I think I related with that the most, just riding around looking for something to do with my friends.
Yeah, for me, like, I didn't do anything in high school. Like, I didn't smoke weed. I didn't drink. I didn't have a car. Yeah. I didn't have a cell phone. Like, I mean, I definitely had nights where we'd, drive around like, oh, we should go somewhere. And I was like, nowhere to go. I didn't go to parties. Like, so that's definitely not at all relatable for me. So no, but I did go to school in Rio Linda, so it's pretty much Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, I also felt very much like, the nerd squad, like, you don't belong here, but you're going to try to maybe see if this is a place that you could be invited to or hang out. And it's like still awkward and weird and no one likes you. That's very much my experience. I grew up in North Dakota. So small town, totally nailed that one. Riding around in cars, getting drunk. Not me. No one wanted me at those parties. Sweet. And no drugs for me, thank you. Do you mind? I'm going to work on my handle, playing a lot of basketball. So downstairs, you're going to hear a basketball bouncing on the floor above you. That's right. I'm very cool.
Working on my handle.
Yeah. Never developed it. Very bad dribbler. But yeah, this movie, I think I watched it a whole bunch. I was like, this is just like my town. I imagine what all the other people are doing. This is exactly what they're all up to.
Yeah.
And I could tell it was small town Texas because of the fact that everybody knew these freshmen coming in a city. You don't know who these kids are. You wouldn't care.
Right.
But I went through middle school and high school were the same school. So
Gee, yeah, it is a small town.
Yeah. So we already knew each other, and there was like no hazing because you knew them when they got out of 6th grade, which is there's a difference between making fun of a 7th grader and a 9th grader.
Yeah, yeah, about 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
No, but they even call it out. Adam Goldberg's character calls it out, like how the community seems to approve or at least tacitly endorse this, and it's just such a look at a bygone era where it was appropriate for the boys to beat other boys, the girls to do psychological torture, and the kind of like, if you're not in, that's worse than being beat, you know? So there was that, like, that's just so foreign to me, but I can understand it in small town Texas, 70s bully culture. Crazy.
Now, before I hit you guys up about doing this movie, did you ever consider this might be a beer movie?
I mean, I definitely associate it more with smoking pot. There is a lot of beer. I mean, they have a trunk full of beer. They're just driving around drinking beers. But definitely I think of it as a weed movie more.
I think of it like a beer movie. So I have a beer. I smoked 2 joints before we started. I also dropped 2 hits of window pane acid. So about 10 minutes in, I'm going to start probably reflecting on some things that you guys aren't going to experience.
That's totally.
Did you guys know time? Did you guys know time is just a figment, not a constant of anything, and we are all the same subconscious?
I did know that.
Sorry, it's kicking in already, guys. Sorry about that.
No, this is
I
just
thought you were going to tell us about George Washington and his weed.
Super into aliens. We'll start at the end of the movie. We'll work our way back. Let's get into this movie a little bit on the more detail-oriented. This opening is perfect.
Yeah. All right. So like I said, I watched this movie with friends on opening day, and then it was like a thing. Like quoting this movie in my high school was a thing, or at least with my crew, right? And check you later, or all right, or it'd be a lot cooler if you did. Everything. You could say anything from this movie. But when I rewatched it for this, I haven't seen this in 20 years, but I saw it so many damn times. I noticed like the filmmaking things. So Richard Linklater, who made this movie, his first movie was Slacker, this little independent movie. And all that movie is a series of conversations of 2 people like walking together. One person leaves and another person joins this person and they walk together. That first person leaves and another person, and it's just a series of conversations of 2-handers. That's it. The opening of this movie, I never realized it before, but it starts that way. It follows Pink, and he's with somebody. Pink leaves and follows that person when they join somebody, and it does that. And I think Richard Linklater was kind of like starting it that way, and then it gets off into like we see just differences like that. Yeah. But I thought that was really hip. I thought that was really interesting to open it that way.
Yeah, he has a big love of following the conversation and following the person having the conversation and leaving the conversation and tying all these stories together. And he loves focusing on time and how time is relative. He's done Boyhood, Waking Life. Apparently there's a follow-up.
The Sunset.
Yeah, there's an 80s based
Sunset
movie.
Movies.
Yeah. Like, it's his obsession. But this movie opens with Aerosmith's Sweet Emotion.
Yeah.
With that slow grinding lead in as a car comes around the corner in slow motion, driving through at the same speed the song is. It's like like the drums kick in at just the right point. Everything happens at just the right point with that intro to this movie. I love it. It's the perfect song for this thing. I don't know why. I just feel like it is. They're getting tickets to Aerosmith later, and like this song. Did you know Aerosmith didn't have a #1 song until I Don't Want to Miss a Thing?
Wow.
Good.
Just Like a Lady wasn't #1?
Love in an Elevator wasn't #1?
Nope. Sweet Emotion was #1. Pink eventually was her second #1, and that's the biggest travesty of all of this.
Pink?
But to me, like, Sweet Emotion's their best song. It's not even close. Like, that chorus with that reverse snare sound, oh my god, it's like perfectly recorded. It's a perfectly produced track. I don't know. I love it, and I love it as an opening here.
They're on soundtracks for Ben Affleck movies? Is this the thing?
Yes, that's the theme.
I also remember thinking that was kind of a cool thing that Aerosmith starts the movie and then they end the movie to go get Aerosmith tickets. Because in '93, when this came out, Aerosmith had like a second big. They were bigger, I'd say, in the late '80s, early '90s than they probably were in the '70s, where they had one or two hits. Like you said, not even a number one, but they were all over the radio with that terrible shit rock.
Oh God,
crazy, amazing, crying. Janie's Gotta Go was cool.
Yeah, the rebirth after a Walk This Way when hip hop, they're like, yeah, we're back.
Yep.
And we're going to be on top, almost. We're going to be big. And why? Anyway, it's fine.
I think Linklater was kind of putting something in like, hey, did you know Aerosmith was even around back then? For people watching it in '93.
Ooh, that's very possible.
I'm sure people have heard the song and didn't even know it was Aerosmith, because it's not at all like their later stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. As far as that goes.
Yeah, but the soundtrack is definitely like, it's almost its own like character in the movie. Like it carries a lot of the scenes, and some of it's just like spot on, like school's out for some, like everything.
Yeah,
little on the
it's
nose.
almost on the
yes,
nose. Like it works.
Yeah,
like it's obvious, but it works.
Yeah, like when Slow Ride kicks in, which I think happens multiple times.
I feel like it happens several times.
Yeah, like we are just cruising. There's no goal here. We're just going into a car. We're going to slow down the frame rate. We're going to slow down the drive because it's a slow ride. We're going to take it easy.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like it was really well done on a film level as far as all that goes.
My favorite aspect of this movie is he just got the tone right of high school. There's little tiny touches throughout this movie that it's just like, that's high school. Like, there's a part, it's really brief, where Ben Affleck pulls up, drops somebody up. There's a lot of dropping people off, getting in other people's cars and going for a ride. Ben Affleck drops off Dawn, and he sees Slater, and he's like, hey, Slater, you fucking hippie. And Slater's like, yeah, fuck your mother, like that. Like, remember in high school when you had to be around people you hated because your friends were some of their friends, and you just had to tolerate, like, you knew you were going to see that person every day and it was going to be shit. Yeah. Like, it's not like an adult where you can just avoid people. There were like little touches like that. Like, you just had to tolerate one person in your friend group.
Yeah. And I think they do a really good job of showing that O'Banion really has no friends. He's never in a scene where he's focused on and having a conversation with someone. He's always combative. Like, he's just like, we need a bully. And Ben Affleck's like, that's fucking me. That's what I do. No one likes me. I'm an unlikable person. I can do this.
And he's a super senior.
Yeah.
Yes, right?
Just one last little tweak of his ego. Just like, you're not even smart. Like, and I think
it's so perfect. He pulls up and he's got his little graduation tassel hanging from his window.
And I think they even make a mention that like he's coming back. He's like so excited to play football one more year, but like he's undersized lineman. I think they even make a comment about like he's not even proper size for his position. Just like constantly belittling him, and he's just so sure he's the best dude. And I love it. It's exactly high school. There's always a complete monster who thinks they're the fucking best. And also, I don't know if you caught his opening line.
Something about kick some asses or something.
Yeah, y'all ready to bust some ass?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you introduce...
That's what got him the Batman role.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what Batman is, right? He's a bully. Batman is a super rich vigilante prick.
Who's always getting out of a car.
That's true.
Yeah.
Little graduation tassel hanging from his Gotham High School.
Yeah, he's got a little wooden paddle to beat up the...
Yeah. With a fuck you, he's like, I'm such a badass, I'm going to put fuck you, but I won't put fuck you. Like, he could have, but he didn't, because he's not that badass.
It's clever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I will say, in his defense, he handles getting a shotgun pulled on him way better than I ever would. I would have shit myself. But maybe that's Texas. Maybe that's just how you go through a day.
Yeah. That's how you say good afternoon.
Yeah. He's like, this is the third one today. This is fine. This is not a problem.
They see more guns in that day than I've seen in my whole life.
That's
like
Texas.
that guy with the mail. I'll shoot the shit out of you. That used to be my favorite line, that old man. I'll shoot the shit out of you. over
a mailbox. Like,
yes,
this is a death-worthy offense. Yeah, it's a federal offense. That's a federal offense. That guy didn't have a Texas accent. He's like, well, this is what a Texas accent sounds like, right? Messing with mailboxes is a federal offense. But I just realized one more note I had about Ben Affleck being just not respected and like thinking he's a badass but isn't. He's got a pretty cool muscle car pulling up in it, and it's gray. But I was watching, I'm like, I don't think it's gray. I think it's primered. I think it's primer painted. Like, he's not even got it up to where he needs it to be.
They made a comment when he gets the paint poured on him, like, "Oh, I guess he finally got that paint job."
Oh shit!
Yep.
It's like little tiny touches of just like, this is how he developed these characters. I love.
It is. It's little tiny touches.
Yeah.
It's also great that it was a scripted movie.
Yes. Definitely love the fact that it was scripted.
Also, I love, like we say, these little tiny touches. Their woke teacher, the teacher who's she's not wearing a bra. I mean, imagine if you had a teacher who didn't wear a bra.
Her line about the 4th of July, just remember what you're celebrating. A bunch of slave owners didn't want to pay their taxes.
Slave-owning white men didn't want to pay their taxes. And it's like, she's talking about, like, I think when they cut into the scene, she's talking about, like, it was the most badass summer I ever had when she's, like, out smoking weed. And, like,
she said the Democratic convention was the most bitchin' time she ever had.
I love it.
And that's what 8 years before this took place. I mean, so she's just like talking about her high school days.
Yeah.
And she teaches at a school where the mascot is the fighting rebels. Like, and they're like, they later on they say, son, you're born to wear rebel gray. So like, that's radical speech at that school for this woman. She probably had death threats every day.
Yeah.
Especially in Texas.
Yeah. The school celebrates the Confederacy.
Yeah. Which is par for the course for Texas, unfortunately. But I also noticed this is also not only is it a woke teacher, but it's a very woke high school. I don't know if you were paying attention as they were tearing their lockers apart. The
school where they beat other children and the teacher just laughs it off?
Yes, this is the same school.
They were only beating the white children.
That we saw.
Right. But, like, as they're tearing apart their lockers, they have, like, feminist icons in their lockers. They have civil rights movement leaders. They have George Carlin. They have, like, all these people in their
Joe
lockers.
Frazier holding a thing of Muhammad Ali. Joe Frazier wearing a George Washington wig.
Yeah, just all kinds of stuff. Like, this is crazy. For 70s Texas, why do these kids have these things in their lockers? That's pretty cool.
They had a slide out of a window.
Yes.
What was that? What was that about?
That was the junior high, I thought,
right?
Yeah,
junior high had a slide.
Is that like a garbage chute?
It didn't look like it. It looked like a legitimate slide, and I will never.
Because that was badass.
I think they found a school that had that. Like, that's weird. We should use it. Like, this is the one. Stop shopping. This is the school. We're allowed to use this one. Great. It's on the market. This slide. We don't care anything about the interior.
Gotta use a slide.
We need a slide, and the guy needs to get right on his bike and ride off like a badass.
Yes.
Because that's what an 8th grade badass looks like. A guy who takes the slide, not the stairs, and then rides off on his BMX bike.
Rides his bike real fast.
Yeah. He's got a little lackey that'll bring him his bike, so he's ready to go.
I mean, there was also, like, the conversation in the girls' bathroom where they were talking about Gilligan's Island being, like, a sexual fantasy for men. Like, what do women get out of it? It's like a nerd, and, like, but, you know, the professor's sexy. But, like, yeah, like, the students are very, like, aware of all these social issues, and it was interesting because they all are terrible.
Yeah, it's very strange. They're like kids that are trying to be adults. They're having these deep conversations, these political conversations, these historical conversations, these personal conversations. This one breaks the Bechdel test, like, pretty much right away.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we established that women are women.
I'm a little confused on what the Bechdel test is. It's a woman in a movie, and she's not defined by her relationship to men, right?
No. So it has to be at least 2 women characters. Both have to have names, and they have to speak to each other about something other than men.
Okay. Does that happen in this movie?
It does, several times. There's even the scene where the girls are driving, and they're asking the one friend, she hung out with another girl, like, what'd she say about me? And then she called you a bitch, and she called you a slut.
Yeah. So passing and breaking is kind of like the same thing. So if there's a scene where that's women talking and they are talking about men, that breaks the Bechdel test?
No, I mean, you pass it. You don't, like, break it. So
okay.
There's some movies, I mean, if you really watch a lot of them, there will be females talking to each other that don't have names. Or they only ever talk about their spouses or men.
Heat is the worst example. Heat has the worst female characters of all time. Every one of them is defined by their bad relationship to their husband.
Yeah.
And they probably never meet. They're like, no, we don't get to talk.
They get killed or abandoned.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, that's a different movie. That's next Barley and Me podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking of how we got this to be a beer movie, you all agree it's a weed movie more than anything. But this movie, it starts off with a failed kegger.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ends up with a couple sixers. Moves to trunk of beer. Moves to we're moving the kegger. We've got an access to keg. Constantly going to pick up another sixer. It's just nonstop.
Or steal it.
Yeah, steal a sixer. Give a kid a beer because they took a beating. Like it. I was like, when I was thinking about it.
Buy you beer.
Yeah, as much as I want to say I watched this movie and said, "Oh shit, this is a beer movie." Like some reason this movie popped in my head, and I'm like, "There's so much beer in this movie. I should ask if you guys want to do it."
There's even a scene where Melvin pays Mitch to go buy beer.
Yeah.
And then he hands them all out.
Good game. You want one? Yeah, we got one. Yeah. Non-stop. Melvin is driving this beer trade.
Melvin is a degenerate gambler. He is first scene we see him, he's shooting dice. He greedily snatches up the money, takes it. Later on we see him losing at pool, but he's just as joyous. He's so happy to give Matthew McConaughey his money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And he's just like, these are my winnings. They're mine to lose. I'm happy to lose them. I'm happy for enjoying what I'm doing with this while I'm losing. Everybody have a beer, good games. Everybody just...
Hey, I lost. Rounds on me.
Yeah.
Here's my money. Here's my beer.
He's so supportive throughout the movie. Just like, yeah, man, we're going to beat this kid. We're not going to beat this kid? Cool. We're not going to beat this kid. I'll give him a beer. Like later that night, Benny gets super drunk and tries to stand up in a truck, and he like kind of falters.
My
and he's like,
part.
"Hey man, you're good. Don't worry about it. I got you. We'll make sure you're gonna get out of here, okay?" So supportive.
Just a good friend. Even though he's a gambling addict, it's fine.
Well, he's got to have good friends who can borrow money later.
Exactly.
Typical.
But that's a great take by Cole Hauser when he tries to stand up and he realizes he's a little too tipsy and sits back down. It's like we've all been there. And he sells it so perfectly.
Yeah.
But like you were saying on this failed kegger, this was another part where I was like, he got the tone of high school right so perfect. There's always that couple, that beautiful couple. The guy is gorgeous. The girl is gorgeous. And they're the artsy-fartsy couple. They find each other. You will never attain that beauty. You will never have you know what I mean? They are that couple to aspire to. And that's this couple that was going to have the party.
Yeah. But unfortunately...
barely speaks in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Mia Jovovich
has no lines. She just whispers part of a song.
She got to sing her song, though.
Yeah.
That's her song.
Right, but they're like, you know what song's about, man? I'm like, wait, I remember this being her unique song, but...
It really is about aliens, too.
Yeah, and Slater's like, I know this song. This is my jam. Like...
I talked about this on Dare Daniel one time, and nobody knew what the fuck I was talking about. But I really think that she just was like, "Okay, I'll be in the movie. I'm a model. I'll be in the movie. I won't have any lines, but I get to sing my song, and then somebody gets to talk about it. So then it gets to be like my song, and then a Wikipedia entry about it."
Yeah, I feel like she's like, I need to control my brand. I'm not fluent in English yet, so it's not the best idea for me to be speaking full sentences, but I need to establish myself.
Yes.
Yeah. And that kegger is ruined by a guy who, it surprised me when I looked it up, was not Donald Logue. That's a fun one for people who know who Donald Logue is.
We all know who Donald Logue is. He doesn't look a thing like him, Ben.
Looks just like him.
I mean, I did like the idea of like a keg delivery truck. And how do we get that happening now?
Right.
Well, now you can deliver.
It's in Texas, though. They used to have... Didn't they have drive-through liquor stores?
Oh, yeah. You could, like, have an open bottle in there.
Yeah.
Driving. You can drive through, pick up a beer, keep going, open your bottle, put it in your cup holder, and, like, drink it while you're driving.
Right? Shooting a gun.
Yeah. But if you bring a shred of marijuana in there, you are in jail for life.
Yeah.
What a madhouse. Texas is insane.
So parents kill the party.
Yep.
And they have to find something else to do.
They gotta go beat some 8th graders up.
Wow.
Gotta go stalk some 8th graders.
This is where we see Mitch Kramer, actor, and I use actor very loosely, Wiley Wiggins. We start what is called the nose pinch.
Yes, nose pinch.
This shake head nose pinch that just is a cringe moment anytime it happens in this movie. And he knows he's going to get beat by them, and he starts doing the nose pinch.
Ah, man, you got me again, you guys. I can't believe this is happening. Oh, can you believe it? What a weird, stressful time.
Maybe he had a sinus headache.
Could be. Could be.
Like, how do I show that I'm anxious? What about this? Is this a cool thing to do? When I was younger, I would try to make a drinking game to this movie.
Oh.
And so naturally, that was one of them.
Did you also drink every time they said man?
Yeah, man. I had anytime Ben Affleck appears on screen, nose pinch, somebody calls him pink.
You're wasting like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I was obliterated drunk. I think 20 minutes. I was done. I was like, this. I should, because I'd watch the movie and I'd like add a thing. I'm like, oh, that. I'll add that as a.
Ben's like, I've never seen the end of this movie. I'm passed out every time.
Look, this is a movie that you would have a drinking game to. I assume if you're a. Similar to a degenerate gambler, but with alcohol.
This is why you feel it's a beer movie. This is exactly why. It's because you've created a drinking game for it. Everybody else is just token weed. Ben's like, it's another one.
Years.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
So they track Benny, Cole Hauser, I forget his character's name, and that's Melvin.
Benny.
Oh, so he's Ben. Oh,
Don.
Ben.
You're looking at
Ben Affleck.
Don.
And Ben Affleck is Wooderman.
Oh, Banyan.
No, it's not Wooderman. Oh, Banyan. They track Mitch down, and we have our first actual slow motion paddle scene. One thing I didn't pick up when I watched this movie before, but I never realized how homoerotic that these scenes are. Like the way they're shot from under as Wiley's bent over, and they're grunting and hidden and relishing it. And I think that was intentional. I think Richard
maybe
really.
That's just your subconscious.
Yeah, because I feel like it's just putting you in the position of experiencing being beaten. That's if you want to take that,
I don't know.
That's your thing.
There was grunting, and there. I think it was that there's an element to this that if you brought it up to those guys, they would deny it. Right?
You're right, because they put their hips right in. They follow through with
yes,
like a
there's
real
something
deep follow through.
They really get into that motion of it. And I was like, holy shit, I never caught this before.
I always noticed it, but I always thought it was a way of showing how much they're putting into this beating. Because they're like, hey, you'll stop doing it after 5 or 6 licks.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, also calling them licks is kind of...
Yeah.
See? That's what I'm talking about.
Get to the center of that Tootsie Pop, baby.
They all nickname their paddles like they nickname their penises.
Yep.
I like the soul pole.
Yeah.
Yes!
Very phallic. Wonderful name.
Very phallic.
And also, Ben Affleck breaks his dick, so...
That's true.
Yeah.
Because there was a scene where he was bragging about the hairline fracture, and they were all amazed, how hard he hits with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little suspect.
Yeah. So I did want to discuss. Did you guys? We talked about the beer in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys get a look at what that beer name was?
I tried to, but I don't know if it's a TV. It just looks like some generic.
Yeah, it looks like a.
Because all the beers are that white label with red.
Yeah, looked very generic. I did a lot of pausing, a lot of rewinding, a lot of things, and it turns out when they go to steal the beer, the name is displayed proudly on the wall. $1.49 6-pack, Grand Prize beer. It's a terrible name. Here's the thing. I'm like, well, surely Richard Linklater likes to be realistic. Let's look it up. Grand Prize beer was a beer in Texas.
I could buy it. I could buy that.
Yeah, but the story
no different than Blue Ribbon.
It was brewed in Houston by a company called Gulf Brewing Company, which started in 1933. Totally normal thing to do, brewery in 1933. But the fucking owner of that brewery was Howard Hughes.
What?
Yeah.
He's big in Houston.
Yeah.
Were they just bottles of his urine?
Grand prize, baby. But no, the name actually comes. It's very similar to Pabst Blue Ribbon. When he went into it, there's already a brewery in Houston. He's like, I got to get the best guy, so I can have the best brewery in Houston. So he hired this guy, Franz Brogniez, who had won the grand prize in 1912 in an international beer competition with over 4,000 entries. He won with a beer called Southern Select, and he used the exact same recipe to make this grand prize beer.
Good to know.
It's crazy.
Is it still in production?
Here's the thing. I was like, Richard Linklater loves attention to detail. He wants to get this right. This movie is set in 1976. Grand Prize stopped being made in 1964.
Oh, perfect.
Like, technically 63. The last shipments were 64. So, my question is, are these kids beer nerds who found, like, cellared beer and got excited? Or there's like, this is just what we found, and it's garbage. They're drinking 12-year-old beer, and they're, like, just happy to have it.
Probably the second.
That's what I think, too. But it's also strange that the convenience store is still selling it.
I mean, is it, though? When's the last time you bought beer at a convenience store?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's only $1.50 for 6.
The dates on the new deep bottles at your local convenience store.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, great. Now when I see a beer, I'm going to look it up because I know that there was at least some attention. And so when Mitch Kramer goes to buy a 6-pack of beer, he grabs Murphy's beer. I'm like, great, Murphy's. That's an easy name. We'll look it up. We'll do the same thing I did. I found a thing to Texas beer history. We'll find it. And the only result I got for Murphy's beer was Murphy's Irish Stout.
That's the only one I know.
Which is, and there's no mention. I'm like, why? Why did you do this to me? Why did you give me a real beer and then give me a fake beer? So then the question I had to ask myself is, are they drinking a Murphy's Irish Stout? So I had to keep an eye on those glasses, baby. And no, they were not. They never, ever had a stout. So now I'm just mad because of the inconsistency.
They might have been drinking it. We never know because Melvin tosses them all around the pool hall.
It is one
way. They might have been enjoying delicious stout.
Yeah. These fucking bougie juniors drinking aged, cellared, refined beers and stouts. Everybody knows that's what high schoolers are out there doing. They're definitely not just grabbing what's available and cheap and getting drunk. That's not possible. Anyway, that was the fun. That I took too much time. I was like, grand prize is real. Murphy's has to be real. And I couldn't accept that there was no result anywhere. Like Texas beer history websites, Wikipedia, a quick search, like anything. Like fun facts about Dazed and Confused from other nerds over the years. Nothing.
Worst beer I ever had was called Texas Light. It wasn't even called Texas. It was Texas Light. It was piss. It was piss water. It was called, and they had a lot. That was all they served.
That sounds gross.
Wasn't a good night.
No, that's not ideal. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Was it actually from Texas?
I don't know. It was in the strip club in San Francisco. It was.
You should have led with that.
Was it Texas Light? They had their own little brewery in the back. Like, you got to make it. Like old Roseville has to make a beer. Like, we're going to make Texas Light.
They just wipe down the pole, and that's all. That's what's in the glass.
Oh, God. Quick, ferment this.
Someone would drink that.
There's glitter in this. What
There's
is
a market
this?
for that.
There is.
Glitter beer is in.
Is it? Is that real? That's a real thing? Holy shit.
Yeah. If you can do it, it's
not like stripper glitter, but like it's edible.
Oh, I feel like you guys are just getting bored when you start doing that. You're like, what else can we do? Let's just fucking throw glitter in there.
I mean, you can put anything in a beer.
Used to be you couldn't. You know, there's like, you can't put fat in beer. Like, we're going to put fat in beer. Like, but it doesn't. We figured out a way. We're going to do everything.
I mean, people out here, breast milk, vaginal yeast, whatever you can find.
Just no. This is good beer. I just got to come back to this Black is Beautiful. I just finished it. This is really good beer.
Yeah, I'm starting to get warm. This 10% is like, it's been a while since I've had a beer this strong.
Yeah.
I'm hungry alone. So
I didn't know that they did that though. Like mine's 8%. So getting from different places, they'll change the that's awesome.
Yeah, they'll change the bill a little bit to fit what they're what they would want out of it, what they think their customers would want out of it, what they want to do with it. Yeah, it's very cool. There's ones that have like coconut in there and like fruited ones. It's crazy.
I think my cellar is doing like peanut flour.
Yeah. So
wow.
Like a peanut butter stout.
Red
busted a Schwartz beer, like a black lager.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
It was delicious. I loved it.
Yeah. I like that there's different styles.
Yeah.
Because as much as I still would drink it if everyone made the same recipe, because it would still be a little different.
But what's the point?
Right.
I mean, to support the cause.
No. I mean, if it's all the same, what's the point? Outside
Gianna
of
had the resilience, and everyone did the same recipe, but it was still slightly different. Like if you had a flight of all the different breweries, there were differences.
Yeah, because it's
interesting.
The skill level, the level of roast on the malt, all these things can make a difference. But I think with this one, they like, here's our base, do what you want with it to celebrate the many different ways that you can be black and beautiful. Like, it's like, hey, there's not just one type of person out there. There's so many. Please make this an individualized beer. I think it's a wonderful concept.
Mm-hmm.
That was beautifully put, and now I'm just upset that I don't have another one.
Oh, I have several. So I've got one from every Sacramento brewery that's put one out so far. Technically, I don't have a Red Bus anymore because they only do crowlers, and they only last a few days, so I had to drink it. It was a very tough life for me.
I'm picking up Dunlow and Oak Park this week.
Yeah, and Corky is the Oak Park.
Yeah, it's really good. You'll like that.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I think if we're going through this movie in order, we're almost done. We're almost at this kegger. We're like almost out of it.
Not much happens in this movie.
Right.
Like
it's riding around, it's growing up, it's experiencing what somebody older than you is like. It's like learning life lessons, taking you under the wing, all that stuff.
One thing we skipped over was when they get their revenge on O'Banion.
Oh yeah.
And they set him up to like they say he gets that girl who likes him. Mitch does. Mitch gets a girl who likes him to tell O'Banion that they're busting some kid, Carl, and he wants to go. He has a hard on to go bust Carl.
Really has that hard on. Again, we're going for it.
Again,
and
right?
This is where he breaks his dick because he's so excited. It's too much excitement. It's too much homoeroticism in Corky's head.
I swear it's there.
It's there. You can read it either way, as a power/pain thing, whatever you want to do. Also, we'll point out that this scene is right after Melvin's dishing out those beers. He's dishing out those Murphy beers, and they're like, "Hey, they're busting
like a car dealer."
They got Carl Burnett. That's his name. We gotta go. And there's like There's like a stage walkthrough. Like there's like, go. Is this the time? And they're like, okay.
Yeah. There's like a Dirty Dozen model that they're walking through and saying where they have to be at each minute. But when like I'm a film nerd, so I'm watching this, and when they do the paint thing as he's about to bust his ass, they show them their escape route, right? They show the escape, and the two kids who are junior high school kids, you see them run off a roof and jump onto another roof, then jump off that roof to the ground. Well, what you see is two grown men, stuntmen with beer bellies, run and jump off of the roof, jump onto the lower roof. You can still see the shadow of the guy's legs when the two kids who have been laying there the whole time on that lower roof pop up and then jump off that one to the ground. You can still see. You rewind for beer things. I rewound that 4 times to see, is that his fucking leg right there? You can still see the stuntman's leg.
I just want to point out that Hirschfelder is kind of portly, as far as that goes.
But Hirschfelder got the women.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the only one who was scoring.
Reminder that, you don't have to be the model to get the girl.
It's
confidence.
confidence.
The model to get the
Hirschfelder knew he was about that shit.
Yeah. Secretly a badass, jumping paint on a badass.
He didn't want to leave the dance because he knew he was going to be scoring with another girl by the time that thing was over. Hirschfelder knew. You don't doubt the Hirsch. I call him the Hirsch.
We're friends. He's a future Wooderson. He's coming through.
Oh God.
Yeah, this is the sequel is just those two hanging out and like just beer guts, just drunk in a one bedroom they share,
Working for the city.
working for this. Which nothing wrong with that, honestly. Good career path. That's a good choice. It's a good thing to hand down to somebody who isn't gonna make it. That's the worst way to phrase that. There's somebody who
I like how back then, it was like the slacker who has like the job with the city, and like now, like you have to kind of have some sort of education and kind of have your life sort of together to get a city job.
Yeah.
Like you don't. Yeah, you're not usually hitting on the high school girls in your city job. Yeah. Like
you're going to get piss tested. He's going to fail that.
Yeah.
So you have an issue with the legs hanging out. I took issue with, first of all, they had Chekhov's bowling ball. Where they're like, we got to move this bowling ball. It's like 80 yard in. You got to move this bowling ball. What are we going to do with this bowling ball? And then as Mitch gets into the car, and they're riding around like, we're going to throw the bowling ball after smashing all these mailboxes. And he throws it, like he lifts it up with like his fingers. Not his hands. He doesn't grip it. He's like, just my 4 fingers under it, and I'm going to throw it from a moving car, and it's going to have enough heft and speed to get like halfway into another car's rear window.
Mm-hmm.
That ball's really just falling right down to the ground, right? When he throws it, while he's leaning out a window with just his torso, it's just falling.
That whole scene where they're like picking up the trash cans, it was like arms switching left and right. Like it was like, wait, wasn't someone else grabbing that? Like if you like, I had to pause it for a second. I was like, wait, I thought that was the other guy.
Yeah.
Like they just kept switching
seats, like, switching sides of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since we're on the topic, early on in the movie, Pink is at that middle school baseball game, like a weird, for just no reason, and this old fan grabs him. It's like, this arm ready to throw for 3,000 yards next year, but he grabs his left arm. He's like, is this arm ready to do that? It's like, but every time he throws something, it's with his right hand.
Yeah.
Every single time. I'm like, just put him on the other side of him.
That was another line that I used to always, looking tough. I love the way that guy dealers looking tough.
Chasing the muff around. That's the one that always got me. I was like, this is my high school basketball coach, 100%. He was our like leading scorer in history, and he was in high school, and he like went to college for 4 years, came back, was an assistant coach, worked his way to head coach, but he was like 26 and he was still just a dick. Like that's exactly who this guy is.
In Reservoir Dogs, there's that scene where he's telling the story and he goes and he's got the drugs and he goes into the bathroom and there's a bunch of cops in there. And I remember I've always thought Quentin Tarantino cast, or whoever cast it, the perfect cop-looking people. Like they look like cops just stand there. Those guys are the perfect football coaches.
Yeah.
They nailed that. Chasing the muff around. I know, bro. Man, I know.
Of course, you're 6'3", 250.
Yes, always talking about.
You're not real men. You're not even as manly as my grandma. Don't think I haven't noticed. Like, just everything about them is just, God. And like, everybody's like, you don't want to screw up your senior year of high school. That's like the best part of life.
We're going to go to state.
Yeah. Oh, man. The more we talk about it, the more true that the themes are, the characters are, not necessarily the circumstances, but the basic ideas are pretty dead on as far as
it's just kind of those timeless ideas. Like, it's not strictly for that era. It's, everyone in every generation can kind of relate at some level, even if you didn't go to parties and smoke weed all the time. Yeah. There's like just different little aspects that you could kind of relate, or you knew someone like that.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines when I was growing up, because I grew up in North Dakota, which is a wasteland that no one should ever visit or live in. Can't not recommend it enough. I thought it was weird that it was the character Don who was like the king of the school. He's like, how many times we got laid doing football? I'm the best guy. I'm the coolest guy in this school. But he's like, I did as much as I could when I was stuck in this place. Like he had aspirations. That blew my mind. That he's like, I was stuck in this place.
Yeah.
That
guy peaked. He peaked right there.
But
that was the one part. of all of them, they all look like high schoolers except for he looked like he was 30. He looked like he had a mortgage.
Yeah. For real. He had some rough nights trying to make rent.
Well, I tried to look at the ages because I was like, okay, there's good adults play high school kids. And I think Parker Posey was like one of the oldest in the cast. Because like Matthew McConaughey is supposed to be like the old guy, but like several of the actors were older than him. I think even like Joey Lauren Adams, I think she was older than him too by a few years.
Yeah, because he was like 24, 25. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know. But also, like when I was younger, I could not tell the difference between her and Renee Zellweger. They're like the same person.
Same.
Right?
They're the same.
But also, Renee Zellweger like pops up in this movie for like 1 second when he's talking about the high school girl. Yes, she's like in a striped shirt. When he's talking about the high school girls, Renee Zellweger walks by.
Really? I never knew that.
Well, now you know.
Jennifer Aniston is in Mac and Me. I don't know if anybody knows that.
It's a classic movie.
Don't watch that movie for any reason.
I watch it when Paul Rudd shows clips of it.
That's a great running gag. I love it.
I love him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't tell the difference between them for like my entire childhood.
For a while. Because they were both like having these big indie romantic movies.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing the same characters as each other, and they looked pretty similar, and it's like, oh, I don't know who's who until like later when you think about it.
Yeah.
I think Zellweger had a little stronger career than Joey Lauren Adams.
What?
At least in the early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she had the whole, what's the British movie thing?
Oh, yeah.
Bridget Jones.
Yeah,
there we go. That's the one.
Yeah.
Chicago.
Irene.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Chicago's great. Let's do Chicago.
Chicago is great.
Chicago's a movie, a good movie of singing and dancing filled with people who can't sing or dance, except for Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Sing or dance.
John C. Reilly at his finest.
Yeah, that's true. That's where I fell in love with John C. Reilly. And he's been
great.
They
sing so much. Yeah, Richard Gere is the worst of it all.
He is the worst always, all the time.
Yeah, every time.
Oh.
When they're at the Moon Tower, so the final third act of this movie takes place at this just big party, kegger.
Big rage.
And one thing I always liked, and this is another one of those things I think it's just a little thing Richard Linklater put in, is that I forget her name, my girl, the red-haired Deborah? Cynthia. She's talking with Pink and a couple of the other girls, and she's talking about how every other decade theory. She's like the 50s sucked, 60s were rocking, 70s, and it's always like whatever time you're in sucks. Like everybody had it better before, and they're gonna have it better in the future. But there's one like little small thing, turn of phrase, where she says the 80s are gonna be radical, and I think like that became a term like for Valley Girls, radical, right? But she was using it as like changing the game,
like the 60s radical.
Exactly. And I think that's just a neat little bit of screenwriting or dialogue that he did.
Yeah.
Also, it predicted the future because 2020 fits right into the theory because it sucks.
As soon as you turn that corner, you're like, new decade.
The 90s, the 80s, I go through all of it and I'm like, oh, it works.
Yeah, that's fair. Wait, hold on. Because if the 80s are cool, the 90s are bad, 2000's cool, 2010's bad, 2020's cool.
Wait, did I mess it up?
I think
did. I go back? Oh.
I think you started with the 70s as cool, and that's the problem. But I think, in reality, if we look at the world, she's wrong. The 70s were the cool decade. The 50s sucked. Let's face fact. The 50s sucked. It skips a generation on occasion. But the 90s, we got the internet.
Mm-hmm. We have light up shoes.
I think we can all just agree the 2000s were the worst, right?
Yeah.
Worst music of any generation any decade of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking, the movie was made in 93, it was set in 76. So if we made it now, it'd be set in like 2003.
Yeah.
What would even, there's nothing to define that era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like trash.
It'd be Backstreet Boys.
They're already on the way out.
Yeah, they were done.
Well, Casey, I'm way off.
It's Justin Timberlake and Pink.
Oh, so NSYNC already broke up by then?
Mm-hmm. It's like the boy band solo careers. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I was like starting high school in 2003, so I'm like that. Yeah, I don't know. Low rise jeans.
Yeah, I had just left college. I
don't know what would define that era. Like, there's no like music that just brings you back to it. There's no like.
I was a dad, so like Dora the Explorer was the only music I was listening to. Dora.
Did you learn Spanish from it at least?
Sí.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's nothing. I think all I have is like, oh, that's when I became a music writer, and so I had all these like indie albums that were like decent, but nothing that I'd be like, oh, you needed to hear this. There was nothing in that time where I was like, oh, you need to hear what I'm listening to. It's like, this is interesting or cool or fun. It's not.
I was listening to Outkast, and I think
that was a big year for them.
Lil Wayne mixtapes, I think, in 2003. That was like all I listened to.
Good year for hip hop. That's Kanye West's first album, I believe.
So, we're not going to talk about him.
Well, I'm just throwing out things. That strangely, I believe 2003 is the year that I met Giovanni Ribisi.
What?
Yeah.
Was he with his sister?
No, he was, according to the band, a friend of the band, but he was definitely dating the drummer of this band I love called Autolux. So they were playing San Francisco with Blonde Redhead. And I hung out with. I talked to him for a quick second. I talked to Mark Engels from the band Dredge, the guitarist for Dredge. And then I also hung out with, for most of the night, one of the local guitarists in Sacramento that was working with the Dining Room Romance and Electric Badness. And that is 2003. That sentence is 2003.
And that's almost 20 years ago. How crazy is that? That is almost 20 years ago.
God damn it.
That's so nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway. What were we talking about? Is this a movie? Are we still? Oh yeah, so
I don't know.
I think we're on the.
I swear we watched the movie.
Yeah, this movie's like it's
the
great.
Moon Tower.
Moon Tower. How many beers? That's a good one. How many beers did you have? Like, it's like you can still see the blood marks all the way down. He's like,
I liked when he wanted to start the fight, and he's like, "Oh no, I just need to get one good punch in, and everyone will break it up." I was like, well, in movies, that's because they were kind of the whole movie. They were like the voice of reason, right? Like. When they were getting hazed, they were like, "This is so weird that they allow this."
Yeah.
Like when Matthew McConaughey is hitting on girls that are way too young for him, like this is gross. So like their whole they were kind of like the reality of everything, and so they're like, "Oh yeah, in these situations, the fights always get broken up. I just need one good punch," and that did not work out well for him.
No, because he punched Nicky Cat, renowned asshole.
Right. Guy's never played a likable character.
Never been a likable human. Every story I've heard about him as a human is him being a
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's an asshole. He's bad to bar staff. He's bad to women. He's not a good guy across the board. Rumor has it.
And I was just like, how often do you see a movie where someone who's getting stoned is like the angry aggressor? like that was how the fight started. Was like, yeah, I'm smoking pot. What's your problem? I'm gonna kick your ass. Like.
Like a typical stoner's doing.
That's
exactly.
Good. That's a good point. Yeah.
Further submitting, he's just an asshole.
Anthony Rapp also. He was like the only actor I think when I saw this movie that I recognized from like Adventures in Babysitting and a few other movies where he was a young actor. He's a gay man, and in the movie, he has a dream where he's making out with Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, a hot baby.
And it's a woman's body. Lincoln. And I was wondering, watching this now, I was wondering if that was something he wanted to bring to the character, like things like maybe before he had acknowledged his sexuality, things that a closeted man would do or closeted person would do when they were younger, that kind of stuff. Because it was just so like he's a gay guy, and it's like played for a laugh that he's making out, he's sexually frustrated, but that specifically was that he's actually making out with a guy. What does that mean? And it's kind of left open-ended.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's actually what you want, but you just don't acknowledge that yet. Yeah. Especially being in a small Texas town.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt bad for Adam Goldberg.
Sexy.
He's honest. Yeah. Honesty's a good virtue.
That's all I want from a man.
Hard to find, so good luck.
All hat and honesty.
And he laid pipe too because his name was Rail Splitter, the old Rail Splitter.
Jesus Christ. Right. So you're going to say about Adam Goldberg? I heard a thing.
I felt like he was the only Jewish kid in town too. Like they had found each other. Like we are.
Okay.
When he's getting beat up, he calls him a Nazi. He calls him a fascist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he probably took a lot of beatings or at least ostracizing in that town. Unfortunately, it's awful, but
yeah.
It's all right to bring everything down for a second.
When you get to these particular characters, there's nothing you can do but bring it down. Like, with these actors and these characters, like, what their characters represent versus what they became later as actors and people, it's just like this very stark dichotomy of that. And what they represent in the movie is, like you said, like, the outcast, the innocence, the voice of reason. But, you know, I double-checked this because you were a fan of age differences. So Anthony Rapp's character, Tony, right? He has a thing for that 8th grader, Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, political activist now. Pretty fucking cool. Left acting very shortly after to pursue political stuff. So when there's a kiss between them, which is soon to be senior, soon to be 9th grader. It's still weird that way.
I thought they were freshmen going to 10th grade. See, my junior high was 7 through 9, and the high school was 10 through 12.
Well, they mentioned freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior in this movie, so fuck off.
So
yeah.
So they're calling them freshmen because as of that day they are freshmen.
They're going to be from
left
freshmen.
8th grade. Oh, that makes it so bad.
I definitely remember like having classes with seniors as a freshman, and apparently I looked older than I was, and whatever. But like they would flirt with me or say something, and I was like, "This is gross. You're like old." You know, I was aware of the age difference, even though we were in like 4 years apart. So I'm just like, whenever I've seen movies where like they're flattered by these older guys, like gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. So they kiss.
Can't relate.
At the time of release, Anthony Rapp was 22. That actress was 17, and I'm like, ew. Not happy.
She looks younger than 17, so I mean that's.
Yeah.
Okay, so controversial question: is 22 and 17 worse than 17 and 13?
Yes.
It feels like it is, right?
There's
Even though the other one
there's
is
a law against one of them.
Yeah, and it's just...
Wait, no, so 22 and 17 is, you guys are saying it's worse?
I think so.
Than 17 and 13?
That's
illegal. I know legally.
Legally. Because at 22, you're old enough to know the difference. 17, maybe not. Maybe.
You
should.
Like, as much as you're older, you have the same life experience, kind of.
It's true. You can drink in a bar at 22.
At 22, you just graduated college. You're like, what's this high school junior up to? Like, that's very strange.
Yeah.
That's a very strange thing. And, like, I'm saying that knowing my girlfriend's 7 years younger than me. And but that's now. That's now, she said. Like, I wasn't like, I'm fresh out of college trying to holler at this, what would be 15. Like, I'm not doing that, Like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. If you're 22 and you're approaching a 17-year-old, you're grooming them, you're a predator, that's illegal.
Okay. 100% true. In my head, I was not thinking of that scenario. I was thinking of the actor and the actress on a movie set.
Yeah, for one scene. And
I was not trying to argue for illegal activity to happen.
He's like, for this one scene, which is weirder, 17-13 or 22-17. And honestly, I feel like 17-13 is not that weird because it's going to be like played like it's an innocent, what is kissing like scene. They're not going to be like, we're going to make out and date. It's like more of a like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like awkward. It's like...
There's no romance. There's no...
It's not, yeah.
Yeah. This is a fun conversation. Hey, just while we're here...
I just want to state for the record, I want it on the record, Your Honor, that I said I was thinking of the acting situation, the 22-year-old actor and the 17-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
God, even that doesn't sound better.
Does it? It really doesn't.
But how do you think Anthony Rapp felt having to do that, given his history? Not ideal.
That's right. He was a victim of abuse.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Well, I would think as actors, there was probably a conversation had.
Yeah.
You know, I would hope that they'd kind of discussed it before just like doing it.
Yeah. And it wasn't like a big make-out. It was just like a...
No, it was a very...
Done.
It was an innocent little... Yeah.
Yeah.
She actually went back for more, right? It was like he gave her a peck and then she grabbed him and they kissed longer. That's when they drop her off after breakfast.
Yeah, because the other freshman was in a full-on make-out session on like the blanket with the girl.
The worst song in the movie, the Seals and Crofts song.
Yeah. Yeah, the closing, like, as much as we love the music in this movie, segue out of it, get out of it. As much as we love the music in this, the closing music kind of sucked. Like, the last 10 minutes, playing through the credits, leave it.
Yeah. My worst thing about the movie is the junior high kids. Like, the acting was awful. Nobody was decent to watch.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time...
Except for Hirsch. The Hirsch nailed it.
I spent a lot of time in my notes, like, is the acting bad? Or is the script bad? Or is it both? When it came to the younger characters. Because Carl really cannot act.
No.
Yeah, you don't want them to succeed. You want them to get beat. Like, I'm like, you know what? Get him, Batman. Get him.
Like, they have those squeaky voices, you know, but which is to type, of course. You're middle school, you're transitioning through puberty. But, like, when you hear a squeaky voice, like, I fucking want you to get beaten. Like, you want it. You hear that, and you're just like, no, beat him. Beat it out of him. And then you're like, that's toxic masculinity. And then...
I think that's also part of why they cast 30-year-olds to play 15-year-olds half the time. Because they're less annoying in that way. They're annoying in other ways, but, you know.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Each one of these kids, though, each one of the junior high kids, you can watch them deliver their line, and then, like, in their head, they're going, beat, 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 respond.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're just waiting for the other person to say their dialogue. It takes me out of it watching them.
Yeah, I loved when they're talking to their teacher about being let out early.
Oh,
like, men, and
that's funny.
And they pull back in like the most obvious and awkward. You've been told to like react this way.
Yeah,
it was also really bad that they like repeat the jokes. They're like, "Oh no, you hear that? We can't do that." And then their friend said something, and they had the same. "Oh, did you hear that?" Blah blah blah. Like twice in the same scene. I was like, so that's your comedy.
That's their reacting against authority. Like, oh man, he was getting there. Oh, we can't come back in. Like, oh god. Like, it's 8th graders being like idiots. Like,
the 8th graders are annoying, so I guess it's
super obnoxious.
They're still annoying.
Another one of those like pitch perfect touches is like when they're walking, they have the beer. Hirschfield got a beer for getting busted, and he's sharing it with his buddies. They're walking down the street drinking the beer, and Carl throws it behind him. And it's like, that's so perfect. They want to be so grown, but they would rather throw the beer than drink the beer, right? Yeah. They would rather break the bottle like young boys and then scatter like, we just did something crazy.
Yeah.
And then drink the beer.
He's like, drank the beer, did it. No big thing, up in the air. Let's get out of here. Like,
Earl, you're crazy. You broke a bottle, man. We're going to get jammed up. Cheese it. It's the heat. The fuzz, man. The fuzz are after us.
I think we're pretty much at the end of this. I think, did anybody have an MVP for this movie? The person that you're like, this is the rock.
I mean, obviously, like Matthew McConaughey like steals every scene he's in. Yeah. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I have a confession. I've never thought he was attractive. And like just seeing him, like I haven't seen this movie in a long time. Just the mustache and him being a little pervert.
Larry Bird
like,
stash.
Oh, this might be why. I don't know. Maybe I always see him as his character. I don't know. But like, you know, he was like the it guy, like all, you know, in all the rom-coms for a second. I was just like, I don't, like he's very charismatic, but nah, pass. Doesn't do it for me.
My MVP is everybody's waistlines. Because they had to fit in some very slim fitting, tight, like with that part where they have the pliers and they're pulling the girls.
Yeah.
I couldn't wear those pants. I couldn't wear those pants when I was old enough to wear those pants. So shout out to everybody's waistlines.
Yeah, doing great. Way to show it off. Way to show off the bell bottoms. Way to show off everything they're wearing. Great job on costume design as well. Love it. My MVP will always be Slater. Rory Cochrane. Not a great actor. Decent actor.
Yeah.
But I hate that he's known for this. They reprised the character essentially for Detroit Rock City. But he's actually like a really handsome guy. Like he's an NCIS. Handsome.
I thought it was.
Oh, that's right.
I thought it was CSI.
CSI? It could. They're the same thing.
I think it's CSI Miami.
I think you're right. I just think it is CSI Miami. I think you're exactly right. But he's like.
But he's not the handsome one in it.
He's not the handsome one. But he's like handsome. You know, he's got like the George Clooney Caesar cut, but like close cropped. It's very straight. But also Empire Records. He's a cute kid in Empire Records as well.
Well, he was wearing a wig in this movie, right?
Yeah, this in Detroit Rock City. But he became known as this, like, that was his character. That's what he's known for, playing these stoners. So he played him for a few years. People forgot he was actually kind of cute.
I would say that every time I've seen him, he's something totally different. Like Empire Records, this, Love in a 45, he plays an evil, degenerate criminal. I've never seen Detroit Rock City, but and then CSI. So I thought he kind of had some range as an actor. But you're right. He nails this. He is that character.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong for knowing him as this. I'm just saying there's more to him. That's all. You're not wrong to be like, that's Slater. I'm just saying. He's great.
But I think that knowing him for that character just shows how great he is. Like, you know, there were so many other actors who went on to have such like big careers, and he's one of the characters that like stands out the most. Yeah.
And then, as far as the closing, they kind of all, as far as that goes, they give their inspirational quotes that aren't inspirational quotes. They're not like giving them like they're going to be inspirational. They're just things they say. Do you guys have a favorite like closing line or character's speech that you liked?
I mean, I guess Matthew McConaughey kind of had the most. I don't know, because Jason London was just kind of an entitled like asshole. Like he's not. I didn't like it.
He's a soft lead.
It's like, I might play ball, but not by your rules.
Yeah.
Like, it just...
Do you think that his career was affected by the fact that people couldn't tell him from his brother Jeremy?
Wasn't he also like an alcoholic?
And he can't really act?
Right. Well, that's another...
Neither of them can act, but do you think if there's only one of them, they could have had a career? If it was just one London, could there have been a career?
We'll never know.
Because there's two, and they both had 1/4 of a career. Because they can't act. But if they were just one being, maybe there's a chance that...
Like if he had absorbed his twin in utero?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Like Marshawn Lynch?
Maybe you would have more talent.
That's the dream. You know, because they would spend all their time on one person instead of splitting the time between two people trying to make them both bad actors. They would be like, one person becomes a good actor.
One bad actor.
Yeah.
Or let's face facts. There would probably be one other bad actor, but it would only be him.
Just a really, really bad. Just like super bad.
How do they both get leading roles in so many movies, and every time it looks like they are reading a cue card? Every time.
There are several shots where they cut away from him because he's doing that thing he does, that manic kind of act that he does, and they cut away and just let the ADR fill in his dialogue.
Yeah, because it's not like he's like super handsome. It's not like, I mean, you know, there's a lot of actors, like especially in the 90s, where like they had a moment. You're like, why?
Yeah.
Like what about this person they weren't a good actor. They're not that good looking. Like, I don't know how they stayed around that long.
I'm looking at you, Skeeter Ulrich.
Hey, Skeeter Ulrich can get it.
I mean, yeah, he's a handsome dude, but he's not a strong actor.
No, but Scream is like all-time fave.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's too bad he's an asshole and as good as it gets, because he's super cute.
He's on Riverdale now.
Oh. Just like Luke Perry, another person lined up for this exact award.
Perfect.
All right. Think we should probably go. But before we go, did any of these people go on to be successful human beings in life? Not the actors, the characters. Did anybody...
Oh, the characters? Absolutely not.
Do you think they're just getting together, throwing the pigskin around? Oh,
yeah. Like, the girls all got pregnant right after graduation.
Oh, for sure.
Parker Posey probably had like several failed marriages. Yeah, none of them. They're all still there.
Yeah, her fingertips are definitely yellow from all the.
I feel like Parker Posey's character. You see her at the front of Trump rallies right now.
Oh,
like, she's a realtor outside of Dallas in a real expensive place. She's married her fourth husband. He's rich. She has fake hoots, and she won't wear a mask because of her rights.
Yes.
And she's at the front of Trump rallies right now.
Yes, she went viral for yelling at a Starbucks barista.
Called her a freshman bitch.
Wipe that face off your head, bitch. Just, it's
you liberal slut. Yeah, that's exactly who her character would be now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think thinking about it, the only character I could think that like had a modicum of success is the woman who's talking about the male pornographic fantasy. I feel like she got into politics. She wanted to be a senator. They're like, no, you can clerk for a senator, and that's like as close as she got. She's behind the scenes, still pushing a political agenda.
Speechwriter.
Yeah.
But I think that's her only scene, right? I don't think she pops up in the rest of the movie.
Not really.
She's in it, but she's just kind of reacting.
Yeah, she's in the scene, but she's not part of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's in a scene with Anthony Rapp and Adam Goldberg where she's just like, these fucking dildos, whatever they're talking about, and smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at.
The teacher made it somewhere.
No, she's stuck teaching. She's like, I'm going to make a difference to all these kids. I'm going to have one of this girl. Every 5-6 years, I'll have a girl like her that'll get really involved in this stuff. And it'll be very cool for me to see them succeed where I couldn't or didn't. Couldn't is the wrong word.
Okay.
I'm very good at words and using the wrong ones every time. It's like there's 7 word choices. 3 of them are bad. Pick one. I'm going to do it. Yeah. That's the movie, guys. I hope the listeners enjoyed this dazed and confused walk down memory lane. Unique worldviews on what exactly is happening when a paddle hits your fanny. Which in America is your butt, and across the pond is not.
It's a totally different type of abuse.
Totally different thing. Not cool. Don't do it. Yeah. So before we get
unless that's your kink.
Yeah.
I mean, unless that's your thing, right?
Yeah. All right.
I'm not going to shame
Kink Floyd.
If you're consentingly getting paddled, that's your choice.
Exactly.
By the way, can we start a Pink Floyd cover band called Kink Floyd where we all come out and do this? Somebody make this happen. It's got to happen now.
I'd be surprised if it happened yet.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up. And then I'm going to watch a few videos for research. I'm sorry. Okay, we have to leave. This is too much. I'm trying to keep the episodes shorter than the movies themselves. I'm going to try to do that. So where can people find you guys if they want to find out more about what's going on in the lives of Paulina Olivares and Corky McDonnell and Ben Rice?
You can find me on Instagram, Ola Paulina. Like I said, I've got the beer thing going on, so I've been talking about that a lot. F Cancer. Shout out to Silver Moon. Yeah, I mean, reach out to me. If you find a beer, take a picture, send it to me. I'm really excited about it.
I'm on Twitter at Corky Knievel. You can catch me at Dare Daniel Podcast, where we talk about terrible movies, or catch me streaming on shows at the Sacramento Comedy Spot. F Cancer all the way.
And for me, Ben Rice, the host of the Barley and Me podcast, you can find Barley and Me across social media at Barley and Me Pod. I have a Twitter for my comedian Ben Rice. Doesn't get used a whole lot for obvious reasons. Thank you so much for listening to this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have ideas for beer movies, please let us know. Now you know what it is. It doesn't have to be specifically about beer. It has to just feature beer prominently, even if you don't think of it as a beer movie, because there's not a lot of beer-focused movies. So please let us know. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know if you want us to do who you want us to, Jesus Christ, what movies you would want us to watch and give you our feedback on. Yeah. So I think that's it for episode 2 of Barley and Me presents Leonard Malting. Check you later.
Check you later, man.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening. Stay home safe.